Hello friends, my name is Sunil Sharma and today we'll be discussing 5th of July newspaper. So we'll go ahead with the new top news and then we'll move towards personality news and then we'll cover quick updates. So main news, central government unveils aluminium and copper vision documents. Honorable Prime Minister of India announces OCI cards for 6th generation of diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago. PGNRB updates key regulatory policy reforms for transporting natural gas. Africa goals are our priority, says our Honorable Prime Minister of India. 4th International Conference on Financing for Development Deliveries, Renewed Hope and Action for Sustainable Development Conference has held. Yes, and then we'll talk about quick updates. Special intensive revision, Umeed portal, variable rate, reserve repo, VRRs, Unified Pension Scheme, Supernova, Equine Diseases, Chenab River and Conference on Best Mine Closure Practices. Yes, so we'll start. And in personality, we're going to talk about Alluri, Sitaram, Raju. So we'll discuss the first news. This news is about International Conference on Sustainable and Responsible Mining, which has been organized by Indian National Committee of World Mining Congress in Hyderabad. Yes, in this conference, what has happened? India has envisioned 2 documents. First is related to aluminium mining and copper mining and the production related documents, how we need to produce them. Yes, here, first document is related to copper. Long-term strategy, what we need to do is, we need to build more domestic demand and ensure raw material security. See, the idea is copper and aluminium both are required for the progress of the nation. First. Second, we as a nation, as envisioned by Prime Minister of India, dream for Vikasit Bharat by 2047. And Vikasit Bharat should have clean energy, should have better material prosperity, and for that will require core minerals like copper and aluminium. For this, 2 important documents has come into light. First is copper document, long-term strategy, and copper vision document. Here also, in both aluminium and copper vision document, what we are going to do, we are going to increase the demand by 6-fold by 2047. Yes, and both require smelting and refining. In copper, we are going to increase it by 5 million by 2030. Yes, and in aluminium, we are going to increase the demand 6-fold in bauxite production capacity. That is 150 million tons per annum. Yes, these are the 2 important components. Long story short, you need to remember that by 2047, we have to 6-fold the demand. Yes, the production and use of both the metals. Distribution of aluminium. So what type of questions generally are asked? They will not ask the policy documents majorly. They will focus on where these elements are found. So with respect to reserve, Odisha, 41% of aluminium reserves are found. Then it is followed by Chhattisgarh and Andhra Pradesh. Production-wise, Odisha is the leading producer with 73% of the total aluminium production. With respect to the world, China is the leading producer of the aluminium, 58%, followed by Australia, Brazil, and India. Yes, so India is approximately at 6% of the world production of aluminium, and we intend to reach to 10% by 2047. Yes, then distribution of copper. With respect to copper, Rajasthan, the reserve of the copper is majorly in Rajasthan, 52.2%, followed by Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand. And we all know the copper from the Khetri mines. Yes, it is very, very important. In fact, it sustained Indus Valley civilization also. Yes, then you'll see production-wise, Madhya Pradesh, 57% is the leading producer, followed by Rajasthan, that is 43%. Chile is the leading producer worldwide, followed by Peru and Australia. Yes, so in copper, Chile is the leading producer. But you'll see, Australia has significant production when it comes to aluminium and copper too. Yes, now if we talk about their what will be the greater significance? See, for Viksit Bharat, it will enhance the productions. Yes, will require more of these metals. They act as clean energy fuels. Yes, in solar power plants, in various electrical equipments. In fact, in sustainable development also, you will require these types of metals. Yes, so this was about the first news. Now I'll move towards the second news. Overseas citizenship of India cards for 6th generation of diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago. Honorable Prime Minister has announced this. Yes. To go into details of this, we need to understand what is the key difference between NRI and OCI. NRI are non-resident Indians and OCI is overseas citizen of India. Now, with respect to meaning, an Indian citizen living outside India for a period to do employment, business, education, or any other purpose is termed as NRI. Yes, so those of your friend who have went to Canada, or those of your friend who are doing job in developed countries, they are non-resident. But till when? Till if an individual spends less than 182 days in India during a financial year. Yes, so if someone has gone abroad and he does not come back till 182 days, then he is considered as what? A non-resident India. Now, can he vote? Yes, he can vote. He can vote in Indian election, but he should be physically present in India. If he is physically present in India, he can vote. Then, what laws govern them? Foreign Exchange Management Act and Income Tax of India Act. These two acts talks about NRIs and detailing of that. But if you come to OCIs, there is a difference. OCIs are individual from foreign countries with ancestral ties to India. So they have ancestral ties to India. They can be citizen of that particular country. Then there is no such condition. There is no such condition with respect to the residential criteria. Yes. And third, they are not eligible for voting. Yes, suppose someone's forefather went to Mauritius. Yes, after that, no doubt they have roots in India. They have roots in India, but they cannot be considered as NRI. After successive generations, they can apply for OCIs, but they won't have voting rights in India. OCI scheme was introduced by amending Citizenship Act 1955 in August 2005. Yes, so this is all about. But why people will opt for OCI? What benefits they get? Yes, the benefit is they are allowed to travel. They are allowed to travel without visa for work, study, and own property. Certain properties they can own, certain properties are exempted. Yes, agricultural and plantation properties are exempt. They cannot own them. Rest properties they can own. Demography. With respect to this country, the problem is 40% of the population has ancestral roots to India. British or the colonial powers took many indentured labor in Trinidad and Tobago. What happened there? They worked as a laborer. Now, what is indentured labor? Indentured labor is a form of labor in which the labor is hired on the contract where they are not paid. They have to serve some debt. Yes, they have to first root out the debt. Now, debt can be in the form of the travel expenses first. Second, the food and housing facilities provided by the employer. Yes. Then, these indentured laborers were called as girmityas. These indentured laborers were called as girmityas. These were the Indians indentured laborers who migrated to British colonies in 19th and early 20th century, primarily to work on plantations. So, key here is indentured laborers were not even paid. They were contract laborers where they had to work so as to serve certain debt obligations. Yes, so this again is a very important step when it comes to OCI. So third news is PNGRB approves Second Amendment to Natural Gas Pipeline Tariff Regulation 2025. Yes, PGNRB stand for Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board. Yes, so it is a statutory body. So what type of question you will find in UPSC? The first question itself is whether it's a statutory body, constitutional body, or It is non-statutory, non-constitutional body. Yes, you must be aware that the legal status of a board. Yes, this board is formed as a statutory body under Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board Act 2006. Now, what does this board do? It indulge in the regulation of refining, transportation, distribution, storage, marketing, supply and sale of petroleum product. Yes, now regulation-based petroleum products becomes the whole domain of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board. It also protects consumers. Yes, it's just not about giving regulatory framework for refining, transportation and all. It also protects consumer so that tariffs remain in a particular line. Then it register entities. So the market notified petroleum and petroleum products needs to be registered. Then it maintained a data bank of information. The information data bank is also maintained by PGNRB board. Now, what are the new regulations that PGNRB board has entailed? First is streamlined tariff zones. Yes, now this is important. Streamlining of tariff zones. Now, there were reduction of unified tariff zones from 3 to 2. Now, earlier, the unified tariff zones were there 0 to 300, then 300 to 1200, then 1200 plus. Yes, from source to 300 kilometers, one tariff zone, from 300 to 1200, one tariff zone, and 300 plus 1 plus above is another tariff zone. So there were 3 tariff zones. Now this has been reduced to 2 tariff zones, that is 300 and 300 plus. So this will ensure that the pipelines or the gas will reach to the people who are in the areas which are farther than the source of the gas. Now, again, this goes for pipeline development reserve. What is a pipeline development reserve? This reserve is to fund future expansions. Yes, in this pipeline development reserve, those pipelines who are optimally working at 75% capacity plus above, they'll give some money. That money will be distributed. 50% of this will be utilized to build these reserves. Yes, the pipeline development reserves. Then efficient fuel procurement. Now, under efficient fuel procurement, the pipelines have to go for the sources with long-term contract. Suppose B is the pipeline agency, then A is the source. Now B will buy from A only and only if 3 years minimum contract is there and 70% of the gas needs to be 75% and more gas needs to be brought on long-term contract, that is more than 3 years. Yes, then CNG and PNG both are given, nationwide compressed natural gas and PNG segments are given, they are also given the same leverages under unified tariff zones. So they both are given the excess. When both are given, CNG is utilized for transportation and PNG is used for domestic segments. So both the segments, the transport and domestic segment, will get impacted and the prices gets reduced. So overall, this is an initiative to bring investment friendly, transparent and consumer oriented regulation. Fourth news. Recently, Prime Minister, our Honorable Prime Minister of India, gave a speech in Ghana, Parliament of Ghana, where Prime Minister has said that the institutions, global institutions, are not able to do justice with certain complex issues that are coming, like climate change, cybersecurity, and pandemics. Yes, so these are very complex issues, and the 19th century institutions or 20th century institutions are not able to cope up with these challenges. So we need to work more upon this. For here, you need to see that India and Africa are development partners, and we need to focus more on it. Our Honorable External Affairs Minister also has said that India's independence was incomplete without African independence. So is the prosperity and development. Indian development prosperity is incomplete without the development of African nations. Yes, so this becomes an important bedrock for India-Africa relations. So what are the core components? First is amplification of global South voice. Yes, India and Africa are together when it comes to global South voice. In G20, when India was hosting it, African nations or African Union became the permanent member of G20. Then India has joined partnership, India-Asia-Africa Growth Corridor, where India and African countries are joining their hand. Development framework, there is Agenda 2063 related to African nations, where they are talking about making Africa a developed country, in the process of developing country. Yes, in this agenda, you'll see India is the 4th largest economy, and India can provide basic economy, basic services to African countries. So it is vis-a-vis, it is a vis-a-vis relation where Africa requires to get developed, India is developing, India can the African prosperity can be fueled by Indian economy. Reformed multilateralism, Isulvini consensus. Isulvini consensus is when African nations said that United Nations Security Council require reforms. There should be at least 2 permanent seats to African nations and at least 3 non-permanent seats. Yes, so Isulvini conference or consensus talks about greater participation of African countries in United Nations. Yes, and African countries also support India's participation in United Nations Security Council as a permanent member. Then India and Africa both have renewable energy and climate change promises, where you'll see African countries are involved in International Solar Alliance Coalition. In fact, they are also aligned in coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure. Then both countries are working together for capacity building initiatives, and India has allowed cultural ties, people-to-people relations, extension of e-visa facilities are allowed for 33 African countries. Yes, so this is about India and Africa. Yes, but there are certain challenges also. What are those challenges? The challenges is our neighbor China. China is building Belt and Road Initiative, plus aggressive funding is provided by China, and they're exploiting the resources of Africa. So China is becoming competitor in terms of India's presence in Africa. Second is project implementation. We all know Indian companies are unable to finish the project on time. That this criteria where you're not able to finish the project on time, what will happen? There will be mistrust or distrust within the African nations about Indian agencies. Nuclear disagreement, of course. South Africa talks about global non-proliferation treaties, where India is talking about reforming NPTs. Yes, so here you'll see that there are certain disagreements, there are certain key areas where India and Africa is working upon. Next news is about 4th International Conference on Financing and Development. This held in Seville, Spain. Yes, this happened in Seville, Spain. So this was about, there was financing deficit. Yes, so to achieve sustainable development goals 1 to 17, yes, you will require finances. And because trade wars are happening, the countries are going under debt, majority of the countries are unable to bring up finances for their sustainable development goal. Yet again, among these challenges, you will see that United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed has said that yet against this sobering background, the Sewell Conference delivered a strong response, a unifying outcome document which focused on solution that reaffirms the Addis Ababa commitment made a decade ago, renews hope through SDGs, and show that multilateral cooperation still matters and still work. So in this conference, 3 important issues were talked about. First, commitment charts are catalyzing investment for sustainable development. Addressing the debt and development crisis was the second. Third was reforming the international financial architecture. And regarding this, certain initiatives were taken. First is debt swaps for development hub. This initiative is led by Spain and World Bank. Here, debt swaps and lower debt service burdens will be scaled up. Then, debt for development swap programs. This initiative is led by Italy. What does this do? It converts debt obligations of the African countries into investments. Yes. Then, debt pause clause alliance. Multilateral banks. Here, pause clause is to suspend debt service payment during crisis. Then, Sewell form on debt. Here, again, this initiative is led by Spain, where they are going to coordinate in the debt management and restructuring. Again, this is a very factual information. You need to remember this because certain fine things can be asked in the preliminary examination. Again, Coalition for Global Solidarity levies, France, Kenya, and Barbados. Here, taxing premium class flying private jet to raise funds for climate action. So they are going to tax those people who are ultra rich. They are flying by their private jet, and that will be utilized for sustainable development goals. Yes, scaled. Germany, Canada, France, UK, Denmark, and South Africa. Blended finance platform for development. Impact. Again, FX Edge, interbank development. Now this is important. This is a toolbox to increase local currency lending. Yes, so in fact, local currency lending can also be increased. Here, FX Edge is the important initiative. Effective taxation of high net worth individual initiative, again by Brazil and Spain, ensure high net worth individual to pay their fair share. Yes, supporting architecture reform at national global level, scale up pre-arranged finances for disaster. You can Bridgetown initiative to scale up pre-arranged financing from 2% to 20% of the total disaster financing by 2035. So if you'll see, majority European countries are involved. They want, and certain banks are involved, they want that finances can be raised so as the sustainable development goals can be reached. Yes, this was all about the top news. Now we'll talk about personality in news. The personality in news is defense. Here, Alluri Sitaram Raju. Defense Minister pays tribute to Alluri Sitaram Raju on his birth anniversary. Now, Alluri Sitaram Raju is a very, very important figure in Indian freedom struggle. Why I'm saying so? Because his activity, the area where he was present is Andhra Pradesh, the jungles of Andhra Pradesh, the forest areas of Andhra Pradesh. Now here, this personality, Alluri Sitaram Raju, is a hero. He's a hero. He wanted to create a rebellion. Yes, and he got influenced through non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement, 1920s, where you'll see that the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and Khilafat agitation was combined together to form a non-cooperation movement. It was led by Gandhiji. Now, Sitaram Raju was influenced by Gandhiji in terms of saying that tribals should not drink, they should wear khadi. But when it comes to the method, he said that it is difficult for India to achieve freedom by non-violent method. So, Sitaram Raju raised Rampa rebellion. Rampa rebellion, this was against the forest laws. And Begar. Begar was the forced labor done by the, introduced by the Britishers, where tribals have to work without being paid off. Yes. And you will see that tribals were not allowed to graze into forest. Why? Because forest was termed as their own assets. Yes, they were not allowed to graze, they were not allowed to collect certain products. So this impacted the lives of the forest dwelling people like tribals, and they rose a rebellion. Rebellion is popularly known as Rampa rebellion. Yes. Now, this was a rebellion, was a form of guerrilla warfare where they used to attack certain police stations and related infrastructure. So obviously, British were able to suppress this. Yes, whenever any rebellion became violent, it was easier for the British to suppress it. But this personality became a cult figure. In fact, before going into rebellion mode, he was a renowned person. People saw him as someone who has supernatural abilities in terms of healing people. Yes, so his stature among the tribal people was already very high. Yes, and with the help of Rampa rebellion, he became a hero. He was called as Mannyanam Virudu. Manyam is actually the forest, and Virudu is the hero. So the hero of the jungles. He was born on 4th of July 1897. So because he was born on 4th of July, Defense Minister paid a tribute to Alluri, Sitaram and Raju on his birth anniversary. That was yesterday, 4th of July. Yes. This was about Alluri, Sitaram, Raju. You can find question related to Alluri, Sitaram, Raju, Rampa rebellion, forest rebellions, what were the major reasons and what were the larger outcomes. Quick updates. Special intensive revision, Bihar election. This is related to Bihar election. Who is the initiating authority here? Election Commission of India. Under which legal provisions does special intensive revision comes? It comes under Article 324, where the Constitution says upholding free and fair election to be conducted by Election Commission of India. So as to ensure free and fair election, special intensive revision is to be done. Here you will find Section 21 of the Representation of the People Act 1950 also give power to Election Commission of India with respect to SRI. So what will happen here? House to house verification of the voters will happen. Those people who are enrolled in the voting list, yes, their verification, house to house verification will be there, and enrollment of all eligible citizens will be there. Who is going to do this? Booth level officers are given these powers, that you have to go and then you have to go house to house and then verify all eligible citizens. So the larger purpose is to ensure the integrity of electoral roll for the conduct of free and fair election. Yes. Second news is regarding Umeed portal. Yes. The initiating authority, Ministry of Minority Affairs. UPSC asked direct question that Umeed portal is under which ministry? So Ministry of Minority Affairs. Legal provision, Unified Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development Rules 2025. Now what does Umeed portal do? About Umeed portal, creation of digital inventory with geotagging of all Waqf property. So here on Umeed portal you can find all properties which are related to Waqf properties, and geotagged property will be there. So you can go and check which properties are geotagged as Waqf property. Then online grievance redressal systems. Anyone can go and post their grievance. Yes, transparent leasing and usage tracking. Those who are going to lease the Waqf properties, there also you can find those names that these properties are leased to these people. Again, transparency tool. Yes, integration with GIS mapping and other e-governance tool. So larger integration will be there. One portal will help you to know about all the Waqf initiatives. And public access. Yes, so public can assess and see verified records. Next, RBI withdraw RBI withdraw 1 lakh crore via VRR auction aimed surplus liquidity. Now, it is as said by RBI that there is around 4 lakh crore excess liquidity in the market. Yes, to absorb liquidity, what does RBI do? There is excess of money in with the banks. RBI goes and say, lend this money to me and I'll pay you interest. This is called as reverse repo. Yes, in this, the interest rate is fixed. Yes, but here in variable RRR, yes, in variable reverse repo rate, the interest rate is variable. It is not fixed, it is market driven. Yes, so why it is done? So as to absorb excessive money from banks. Yes, is the interest rate fixed? No, interest rate is not fixed, it is decided by the market. Yes, this was about VRRR. Then new pension scheme. So what is the news? The Finance Ministry has announced that all tax benefit available under National Pension System will also apply to UPS. Yes, so it is introduced as an option under NPS. It is a fund-based payout system. So UPS is a fund-based payout system. Means employees and employer both need to contribute. Who is the employer here? Central government is the employer here. 50% of the average basic pay drawn over the last 12 months prior to superannuation, when this particular pension fund will mature, for a minimum qualifying service of 25 years. So if there is a minimum qualifying 25 years, you have worked, then last 12 months, yes, 50% of the average basic incomes will be provided. Assured minimum pension, yes, you will be given 10,000 per month on superannuation after minimum of 10 years of service. If you have worked, you are under this, and after 10 years of service, you will be given 10,000 rupees. Yes, so this is about UPS. So here the government wants that the more civil servants should opt for UPS. Again, now astronomers, supernova is a very important event. Astronomer gets a picture of aftermaths of stars double detonation. Yes, now what happens is supernova is the event where a star, generally a star 8 times heavier than the size of the sun. When a star 8 times heavier the size of the sun burns up all the fuel, he is left over with a large core, with a huge core. Yes, that large huge core collapse under its own gravity. When it collapses under its own gravity, there is a huge explosion. This event is called as supernova event. And that star after burning all the fuel is called as white dwarf. Now, it is not necessary that all white dwarf will convert into supernova event, but certain white dwarfs gets converted into supernova event. Now here the astronomers are saying that there is a photographic evidence of rare supernova involving a different type of star, a stellar ember called a white dwarf, and a double detonation. Double detonation is, there is a theory that 2 dwarf stars were there. Yes, one a white dwarf star and other star which had a large amount of helium with it. Now this white dwarf star started to take a lot of helium under the influence of gravity. The helium started to go towards the white dwarf star. Because of this, the temperature rose, the helium became more heated up, and there is an explosion in the first star. Then there is a subsequent explosion in the second star. So first star exploded, then second star exploded. So this is a binary system where 2 subsequent explosions were there. Yes. So where this event was noted? It was noted in European Southern Observatory in Chile. It is also called as very large telescope. Yes, so in observatory, European Southern Observatory is Chile, where very large telescope, through this telescope, they were able to find out this explosion. Yes. Next is equine. India established first internationally recognized equine disease free compartment at RVC Center, Meerut, here in UP, equine diseases. So equine are actually the mammals which are horse type. Yes, horse, asses, zebra. These are collectively called as equine. Now, what is the importance of this? Yes, importance of this is now the horses of India can be exported out. They can participate in the international events. Yes, and in India also, the horse riders and horse related market they'll try to catch up with this. Yes, there will be resurgence in the market because now Indian horses and Indian riders can go abroad and they can also compete. Now, here, the important term is equine diseases. These encompasses a wide range of illness that can affect horses like influenza, herpes virus, and West Nile virus. Casual agents, of course, infectious agents like virus, bacteria, and fungi are responsible for this. The main factual information is India has historically remained free from African horse sickness since 2014. Yes. So again, a very important, they might ask you about equine, they might ask you about the center where it is located, they might ask you about what will be the larger implications. Yes. Then Sawalkot hydroelectric power plant on Chenab River. We know about Operation Sindoor and abeyance of Indus Water Treaty. Yes. So politicians, and there is a lobby which is saying that we should control the water. Yes, should control the water. The downstream Pakistan should feel the heat. But the problem is we don't have enabling infrastructure to do that. And to build those infrastructure will require dams. Yes. In this slide, you'll see we are talking about building certain important dams so as to control the water of Indus. Here, Sawalkot is proposed on Chenab River. Initiating authority, Forest Advisory Committee, under which legal provisions they have given in principle approval. They had given in principle approval under forest land, under Forest Act Conservation 1980. Yes. Now, the question will be about the geography of Chenab River. So it originates in Bara-Lacha Pass, where then it enters into Chenab Valley as a structural trough formed by the Greater Himalayas and Pir Panjal ranges. Tributaries include Miyar Nala, Sohal, Tirot, Bhoot Nala, Marusudar, and Lidrari. Yes. So again, this is the factual information you need to remember. Yes. And UPSC has this tendency to ask tributaries and distributaries related to rivers. Direct questions are asked, you need to remember them. Last question. In the same conference that held in Hyderabad, Coal Ministry has proposed Reclaim Initiative. What exactly is the Reclaim Initiative? In the mining, after mining is completed, we should reclaim it. How? Reach out, understand the community, envision, dream and define the future, co-design, plan together strategically, localize, adapt to the ground realities, act, implement with participation, integrate, ensure sustainability through systems, and sustain through localized leadership. Yes. So mining is an important activity that happens generally in the tribal areas. Yes. And mining has certain after effects. So as to control those after effects, coal industry or coal ministry has proclaimed Reclaim. Yes. So you need to remember the various initiative under Reclaim. The initiative is prepared by Coal Controller Organization under the Ministry of Coal, and the partnership is with Heartfulness Institute. Yes, again, this is the factual information. So be prepared with factual balls when it comes to the preliminary examination. With this, we sum up today's news today. Now what you can do is go back. You will find lot of MCQs. You can solve those MCQs so that you can get to know your level of understanding. If you have to revise, you can go back and see the particular news again. You go back and you can check our digital platform, Digital on the Go Reading, where you will find better search and navigation, dashboard to track progress, share articles with others, and test yourself through quiz. With this, I'll end this session. All the very best.